My 24th birthday did not start like a celebration. Seattle's rain was knocking on the windows, but the atmosphere inside the house was colder than that chilly weather. My father, Robert Sterling, who was once the city's biggest shipbuilder, now sat at the dining table like a broken man. In his eyes, there was only one thing for me: the feeling of failure. My older sister, Cassidy, was wiping her new designer bag, her face wearing that same old superiority smile she has worn since childhood. Mom stood in the corner, trembling. She was afraid that the same old storm was about to hit again. Robert slammed a thick envelope onto the table. "Caleb," his voice was heavy, "for the last 3 years, you've done nothing but waste time living in this house. No job, no proper degree. I've made a decision." I picked up the envelope. Inside was a contract for an old fishing boat in Alaska and a plane ticket. "Go there, work with my old friend, and maybe you'll come back from there a man. From today, the doors of Sterling Mansion are closed for you." Cassidy laughed loudly. "Finally! Maybe catching fish will get your brain working a little, Caleb. Besides, there's no way you could handle the business anyway." Mom grabbed my hand, her eyes wet. "Please, son, don't argue. Just go. Maybe this is best for everyone." They thought they were sending me into a life of obscurity. They thought I was their burden. But they didn't know that I had stayed in this house only to give their crumbling home and dignity a little more time. I said nothing. I didn't shout at them, nor did I defend myself. I just picked up my old backpack and walked out from in front of their eyes. I looked into Robert Sterling's eyes one last time. He thought he had kicked me out, but in reality, he had set me free. 2 hours later, I was sitting in a private lounge at Seattle Airport, the ticket to Alaska lying in my pocket like a piece of trash. My phone vibrated. A name flashed on the screen. Sloan Vance. Sloan, 25 years old, red hair and a mind that could beat supercomputers. We had started in an old college garage, and today we had achieved what even the biggest tech giants dreamed of. "Caleb, is the flight delayed?" Sloan's voice rang through the phone. "No, Sloan. The plane ticket is in my hand, but the direction has changed. I'm coming to headquarters," I said, a new strength in my voice. "Caleb, the investors' pressure is increasing. They want to meet the Phantom Architect. Our deep-sea AI project, AQUAVIS, has crossed a valuation of $55 million. The Federal Navy is going crazy to sign a contract with us." I stood up and looked at the lights of Seattle through the glass wall. "Tell them the wait is over. In the next 5 days, AQUAVIS will be publicly revealed, and this time, I won't stay in the background." Sloan took a deep breath. "Your family? Do they know?" I smiled and said, "They'll probably still be waiting for me in the cold of Alaska. They think they sent me off with a bus ticket and a boat. Let them think that. When the name Caleb Sterling flashes in the news headlines, then they'll realize who they threw out of the house." I stepped out of the lounge. I was no longer the Caleb who was thrown out of the house. I was the architect about to build a new empire. The rain in Seattle had become heavier now, but the atmosphere inside Vance Sterling Tech's 40-story building was completely different. The air here smelled of adrenaline and technology. As soon as I entered the lobby, the large glass doors opened for me. Just 2 days ago, I was walking through the streets of this same city with the stamp of failure on me. But today, every wall of this building was a creation of my mind. The security guards standing in the lobby bowed their heads as soon as they saw me. They didn't know my name. They only knew that I was the same ghost architect without whom this building could not stand. My hands trembled slightly as I pressed the elevator button. Not because I was afraid, but because my entire world had changed in the last 24 hours. The elevator stopped on the 38th floor. As the doors opened, Sloane Vance was standing right there. She wore a sharp black suit, her red hair tied in a high bun, and in her hand was a tablet that kept buzzing with notifications. "Caleb, you're here." Sloane stepped forward and hugged me. She whispered in my ear, "I'm sorry your father did that, but the truth is that he cleared the path for you. Now you don't need to hide within the walls of Sterling Mansion." I looked at her and took a deep breath. "Sloane, I'm tired of hiding. From today, we are no ghost architect. From today, I am the face of AQUAVIS." Sloane's eyes lit up. "I've been waiting to hear that. Come on, the team is waiting for you." We entered the conference room where one entire wall was glass, offering a view of Seattle's entire skyline and the dark ocean. On the table, a holographic model of our biggest project, AQUAVIS, was rotating. This was an AI-driven deep-sea exploration drone that could reach depths where the human mind had so far only seen darkness. "Valuation update?" I asked. Sloane slid the tablet toward me. "In the last 12 hours, our valuation has jumped from $55 million to $72 million. The Federal Navy has confirmed that if our live demonstration is successful, they will give us an exclusive contract worth $200 million. I zoomed in on the model. I had written its code late at night when Robert Sterling used to scream at me that I was wasting time on the computer. He thought I was playing games while I was mapping the underwater world. Just then, a message came on my phone. It was from Cassidy. "Hey, Caleb. Reached Alaska yet? Dad's asking if you've joined the fishing boat. Please don't bother him, otherwise he'll leave you on the roadside. Hope you're enjoying the smell of dead fish." I looked at the screen and smiled slightly. Cassidy thought I was catching fish in the cold right now, while I was getting fitted for a suit worth 100 times more than her new designer bag. I didn't reply. I put my phone on silent and looked at Sloane. "Is the media kit ready? I want my reveal to be clean. No messy drama, just pure power." Sloane smiled and said, "Don't worry. We've invited all the major tech reporters from Denver and Seattle. The reveal is called The Architect Unmasked. The whole city is going crazy to find out who the real brain behind Vance Sterling is." The next 3 days passed like a storm. Sloane and I slept right in the headquarters. We rechecked every algorithm, tested every hardware component. AQUAVIS wasn't an ordinary drone. It was an AI that could scan any threat at the bottom of the ocean in advance. On Thursday night, exactly 24 hours before the reveal, Robert Sterling called. This time, I picked up. "Caleb?" His voice carried the same old authority. "The captain there said you haven't reached Alaska. Where are you? Did you waste that money I gave you in some cheap motel? Don't even think about coming back home." I kept my tone cold. "Dad, I'm where I was supposed to be. And as for the money, I threw the bus ticket and the envelope you gave me into the airport dustbin." "How dare you?" Robert thundered. "Do you know who I am?" "You're a man who only builds old boats, Dad," I said calmly. "I'm the one who is building the future. Watch the news tomorrow at 10 a.m. Maybe you'll feel a little proud of your son. Or maybe a little regret." I hung up. Robert Sterling had never believed in me. He thought I wasn't worthy of his business. Tomorrow, he was about to find out that his business wasn't even worth a straw in front of mine. Sloane came to me on the balcony, carrying 2 coffee cups. "Are you scared?" she asked. "No." I took a sip of coffee. "It's adrenaline. I'm just waiting for the moment when the stage lights fall on me and my family realizes what they've lost." Sloane held my hand. "Caleb, you did all of this alone. Robert Sterling didn't show you the path. You made your own path. Tomorrow the world will acknowledge your power." I looked up at the sky. The rain had stopped, and Seattle's lights below glittered like an ocean. I was ready. I was no longer Caleb Sterling. I was ready to become the architect. On Friday morning, thousands of people had gathered outside Seattle's Marine Tech Center. National media vans stood everywhere, and the countdown for the architect's reveal was running on every major news channel. I stood before the mirror, adjusting my charcoal gray suit. There was no fear on my face, only a cold silence, the kind that comes just before a big explosion. At that very moment, at Sterling Mansion, Robert Sterling and Cassidy were sitting at the breakfast table. Robert switched on the TV in anger. "Look, Cassidy, let's see what spectacle these Vance Sterling tech people are creating today. They've created so much hype in the market using my name. Today their truth will be exposed," Robert said. Cassidy scrolled through her phone and said, "Dad, leave it. Did Caleb call? Poor thing must be exhausted counting fish in the cold of Alaska." They both laughed loudly, but just then, the news anchor's voice on TV silenced them. "Today we are live from the Seattle Marine Center, where the biggest secret in the world of marine technology is about to be revealed. Vance Sterling Tech's The Architect will appear before the world for the first time." Backstage, Sloane Vance came to me. She held my hand. "Caleb, your father sent you away on a boat, but today you are about to conquer the entire ocean. Go and show them." I stepped onto the stage. Hundreds of camera flashes hit my face. A silence fell over the entire hall, and then an uproar. People were astonished. No one had expected that the boy the city had forgotten was the mind behind this $72 million company. I picked up the microphone and looked directly into the camera, as if I were looking straight into my father's eyes. "My name is Caleb Sterling," I said, my voice echoing through the entire hall. "The world knows me as the architect. People think the Sterling name is only associated with old ships, but today I will show you what Sterling truly means." At Sterling Mansion, the coffee cup slipped from Robert's hand. Cassidy's eyes were frozen wide open. That's Caleb," she stammered. Robert Sterling's tongue had stopped working. He was watching his son on the TV screen, who was no longer a failure, but had become America's biggest tech prodigy. I began the live demo of AQUAVIS on stage. Live high-definition feeds started coming from 30,000 feet beneath the ocean. Officers from the Federal Navy stood up and applauded. Sloane came onto the stage and announced, "We are delighted to announce that the Federal Navy has signed an exclusive $200 million contract with Vance Sterling." After the reveal ended, I went backstage. My phone started ringing. It was Robert Sterling. I picked up. "Caleb! Son!" Robert's voice was now trembling. "What is all this? Why didn't you tell us? We are proud of you. Come home quickly. We'll throw a big party. Cassidy is also very happy." I gave a cold laugh. "Dad, the party has already happened. And this is the same Caleb you threw out of the house with a plane ticket. You aren't proud of me. You're proud of my valuation. You sent me to Alaska to become a man. But I was a man since childhood. You just never bothered to see. Son, listen to me," Robert tried to say, but I cut him off. "No, Dad. The doors of Sterling Mansion are closed for me. Or perhaps I no longer need those doors. I have built my own empire. I have kept that ticket to Alaska safe, to remind me that when I had nothing, my own family showed me where they stood." I hung up the phone and put it on silent. Sloane and I stood on the roof of the building. Seattle's lights looked brighter tonight than ever before. Sloane raised a glass of champagne towards me. "To the man who conquered the depth," she said. I smiled and clinked my glass. To this silence that finally spoke. Robert and Cassidy thought they had broken a weak link, but they didn't know that they had given birth to a storm that could have sunk their old empire at any moment. But I didn't try to take revenge on them. My work, my success, and my silence were my greatest revenge. I was no longer a directionless kid. I was Caleb Sterling, and this was just the beginning of my story.